He could read at 18 months. He invented his own language at 8. He lectured Harvard professors at 11. And his IQ estimated between 250 and 300, maybe the highest ever recorded. Yet at 46, William James Sidis died alone, in a small room, working as a clerk the world never noticed. How does a mind that brilliant end up that forgotten? Welcome back. I explore the hidden lives of extraordinary children, stories that challenge what we think we know about genius, childhood, and the fragile line between nurturing talent and consuming it. If stories like this stay with you long after they end, consider joining us. We share a new journey every week. Today, we revisit the most puzzling child prodigy in modern history, the boy the world celebrated, then crushed. New York City, 1898. A young immigrant couple from Ukraine, Boris Sidis and his wife Sarah, bring home their newborn son, William. Boris is not simply a psychologist. He is a man obsessed with human potential. So obsessed, he once claimed, "There is no limit to what a child can become." Sarah, one of the earliest female physicians in America, shares his conviction. And they decide their son will be raised not as a child, but as an experiment in genius. By age 3, young William used a full-size typewriter to compose letters, not scribbles, letters. He wrote to adults debating ideas he heard in passing. Visitors later recalled a peculiar party trick. Any date you gave him, March 17th, 1824, for example, he'd instantly tell you the day of the week. No formulas, no pause, just certainty. His father practiced what he called stimulus immersion, a method scientists would abandon decades later. William was surrounded by complex books, symbols, languages, nearly from birth. At 18 months, William read the New York Times aloud, not the headlines, the entire articles. By 6, he wasn't just reading languages, he was inventing them. He created a new calendar system, he wrote a grammar guide, he filled notebooks with ideas about space, numbers, time. At 8, he took the Harvard entrance exam. He passed through, but Harvard refused him. Some faculty argued, it's not his mind we worry about, it's his childhood. 3 years later, they surrendered. And in the autumn of 1909, an 11-year-old boy stepped onto the Harvard campus. Harvard had never seen anything like him. Professors who had spent decades studying mathematics found themselves outpaced by a child whose feet barely touched the floor. In January of 1910, the Harvard Mathematical Club invited William to give a lecture on four-dimensional bodies, a topic even graduate students found intimidating. He walked to the podium in a suit one size too large. He spoke softly at first. Then he began to unravel the geometry of hyperspace as if he were describing the weather.
Look at that.
One professor later said watching him think was like seeing a safe crack itself open. Within 24 hours, every newspaper in America carried his face. Boy genius baffles Harvard, the smartest child in the world. Crowds followed him, students whispered when he walked by, reporters chased him from class to class. He wrote in his diary, "I feel like property." The more he succeeded, the more he withdrew. He stopped smiling, stopped eating regularly, stopped trusting anyone. At 16, he graduated with honors. At 20, he suffered a public collapse. Arrested at a socialist rally, exhausted, angry, desperate to break free of the identity he never chose. In court, he said, "I want to live a perfect life, but the only way to live perfectly is in seclusion."
What say you, sir? Did you commit the act?
The media descended like vultures. Flashbulbs exploded in his face. Reporters shouted over each other. "What's your IQ? Are you human? Do you ever play?" And then, William James Sidis disappeared. For the next 2 decades, he lived like a ghost. New name, new cities, new menial jobs. He operated adding machines. He sorted papers in dusty back rooms. He swept floors. He did anything that demanded no thought, anything that kept his mind unnoticed. But his brilliance never left him. He simply hid it. Under a pseudonym, Sidis wrote a 1,200-page manuscript on Native American history. Scholars who rediscovered sections decades later found insights no one had documented at the time. He also developed an early theory of the continuity of the universe, a cosmological idea similar to one still debated in theoretical physics, long before similar mainstream discussions emerged. And there were small joys. Walking Boston streets at night, talking to store clerks who had no idea who he was. He collected streetcar transfers, thousands of them, categorized by route, company, year, ink color. He once said it was the only thing that made sense to him. Everything else in life changes. Transit systems don't. Quiet evenings with a woman named Martha Foley, a writer who saw not the prodigy, but the person. For the first time in his life, William tasted something close to freedom. Then the world found him again. In 1937, the New Yorker magazine published a humiliating piece titled, "Where Are They Now?" They mocked his small apartment, his simple job, his quiet life. William sued. He lost. The court declared that because he had been famous once, he could never be private again. Those words shattered him. 7 years later, in a tiny room in Boston, William James Sidis died of a brain hemorrhage. He was 46. The newspapers that once worshipped him barely wrote a line. So what really happened to William Sidis? Was he a failed genius? A cautionary tale? A wasted mind? Or have we misunderstood him entirely? Modern historians believe something else. He didn't fail. He escaped. He escaped a father who saw him as a thesis. He escaped institutions that saw him as a trophy. He escaped a society that wanted his brilliance, but never his humanity. He chose anonymity over applause, ordinary over extraordinary, inner peace over outward achievement. Few prodigies ever get to make that choice. And hidden in his writings, especially the ones he never showed the world, is a sentence that reveals everything. The only true freedom is the freedom to be left alone. For the smartest human mind of his time, that was enough. So what do we learn from William James Sidis? First, a child is not a project. Brilliance cannot replace belonging. Boris Sidis genuinely believed he was helping his son. He thought that by unlocking William's intellectual potential early, he was giving him the greatest gift possible. But in treating his son as an experiment, Boris forgot that William was also a child who needed play, friendship, and the freedom to fail. Second, talent must be guided, not paraded. Children, especially gifted ones, don't need spotlight. They need shelter. The media circus around William destroyed him, and his parents allowed it to happen. In today's age of social media, the temptation to showcase your gifted child is even stronger. Resist it. Their privacy is more valuable than any amount of attention. Third, success means nothing if you lose yourself achieving it. William didn't waste his gift. He reclaimed his life. If he could speak to us, I believe he'd say, "Intelligence is a tool. A childhood is irreplaceable." So what does William James Sidis' story really mean? It's easy to see it as a tragedy, a cautionary tale about wasted potential. But that's not the whole truth. Because William did find something most geniuses never do: peace. He spent his final years collecting streetcar transfers, writing about Native American history, living in a tiny room. The world called it failure, but maybe William called it freedom. His tragedy wasn't that he became ordinary. His tragedy was that he was never allowed to be a child. And that's the lesson his life teaches us. Not about genius, not about potential, about childhood. If William's story moved you, if it made you think about the children in your life differently, consider subscribing. This is part of our series, The Smartest Kids in the World. Stories of extraordinary young minds and what their lives teach us. Next episode, we'll meet Terence Tao, a child prodigy who became one of the greatest living mathematicians. But unlike William, Terence had parents who did something different. Something that changed everything. Thank you for watching. And remember, genius is a gift. Childhood is a right.